talk, it seemed like there was a bit of a jump from there is a beginning of the universe to there is a creator to there is a personal creator, which
Right.
you didn't seem to elaborate very much as to how you knew it was a personal creator. Additionally, how do you move from such a personal creator to the specific creator described in the Bible, which you've referenced a couple of times now in this talk?
Let me address the second question first. The talk this evening concerns a kind of generic monotheism that would be common to Jews, Muslims, and Christians. And indeed, this argument that I've described has been defended historically by Muslims, Christians, and Jews. And the person that I used as my springboard was Al-Ghazali, the Muslim medieval theologian. So to move beyond this generic theism to Christian theism, I think you've got to look at the person Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus of Nazareth is the most influential human being in history. Our whole system of dating dates from this man's birth, AD, BC. And anybody who is an, I think, intelligent and educated person needs to have some understanding of Jesus of Nazareth and who they think he is and what they think of his claims. And so I would argue that when you look at the claims of Jesus of Nazareth and the historical credibility of God's raising him from the dead, that will move us beyond monotheism to a Christian monotheism. Now let me go back to the first question about why the cause is personal. In my published work, I give 3 arguments for the personhood of this cause. The one that I share tonight is one from Al-Ghazali. It is an earmark of medieval Islamic theology. And the argument goes like this. If the cause of the universe is a mechanically operating, impersonal set of necessary and sufficient conditions, then once the sufficient conditions are there, the effect has to be there. If the effect isn't there, then the conditions aren't truly sufficient. But once the necessary and sufficient conditions are there, the effect should be there as well. So if there has been this eternal, timeless, permanent cause of the universe, which the argument drives you back to, why isn't the universe permanent? Why hasn't it always existed? Why did it only begin to exist around 14 billion years ago? And the way these medieval Muslim theologians answered this was through what they called the principle of determination. That is to say, it is a function of free will to distinguish like from like. There's a very famous medieval illustration of this called Buridan's ass, where John Buridan imagines a donkey caught between 2 equally appetizing bales of hay. And he starves to death because he doesn't have the freedom to arbitrarily choose one of the bales of hay. Well, now, in Al-Ghazali's writing, he has his own sort of illustration. Ghazali imagines a man with 2 equally appetizing dates, the kind you eat, I mean. 2 equally appetizing dates. And he says, it is a function of the freedom of the will to be able to distinguish like from like and just arbitrarily choose to eat one of the dates rather than the other. So apply this to this dilemma. How do you have an eternal, permanent cause, but an effect with a beginning? Freedom of the will. Free will can simply produce a spontaneous new effect without any prior determining conditions. And therefore, it is through freedom of the will that you can solve this problem, and that would imply that we're dealing then with a personal, self-conscious agent.
Can I just ask a quick follow-up then?
Yes.
In that case, because if you're saying, I don't think that there needs to be will to arbitrarily choose between something. A random number generator could do the same thing. It can arbitrarily choose between a set of different things that doesn't have any will.
Not if it's deterministic. I mean, I think you're not thinking, I mean, it would have to be a quantum system to be truly indeterministic, right? If you're talking about a macroscopic machine that picks numbers, it's not indeterministic. If the causal conditions are present for a certain number coming up on the dial, then they will. Okay.